Live from MMA Fighting Studios, this is Between the Links. And now, your host, Mike Heck.
The iconic voice of Esther Lynn welcomes you to a brand new edition of BTL. Happy Tuesday to us all. I was going to say happy Thursday, but it's not Thursday. It's Tuesday. That is why we're here. Obviously, Thursday is a company holiday, so kind of changes up the schedule a little bit. So instead of going on Thursday, we're going on Tuesday, and it's just been kind of weird schedule-wise. I think this is the third consecutive week that we have gone on Tuesday, but that's okay. Good old-fashioned Q&A edition of the program this week. We figure with so much going on in the world of MMA and the news cycle, we want to hear from all of you. And joining me to answer your questions and just deliver takes that only this man can deliver, Mr. No Gray Area, the hot take kid, the climber of all climbers. There he is, Jed Meshew, boots on the ground from UFC Atlanta all last week. ATL in the house.
Wish it wasn't in the house. That was a tough hang. If you were watching at home, I haven't quite finished on to the next one. I was working my way through it. I did catch the preview show yesterday, and I'm about halfway through it now. And I did love that the overarching theme was, man, that sure was late and not a lot of interesting things happened, because it felt that way on the ground, buddy. It was a tough night in the A.
Yeah. Pretty contrast difference from UFC 236 to this card.
Oh my God.
Good Lord.
I felt so like I jinxed it too, because I do have a history of going to like really interesting events. Usually, like almost every event I've ever gone to, one or more like wild, cool shit has happened. But then this one, like it's not even the coolest. The weirdest thing was the Rodolfo Bellato Paul Craig situation, which I'm sure we'll get questions and talk about. But like the rest of this it was tough. There weren't that many people there. Not in the arena. The arena, shout out, Atlanta really showed out. I went to the Wu-Tang Clan concert on Wednesday. There were definitely more people at the UFC show than the Wu-Tang Clan concert. Like 100%, no doubt about it. They were super loud. Like they were pretty into it, even though the night was boring, but not like a ton of media there. Just sort of a super weird vibe considering the last Atlanta show.
Yeah, I love covering those events where there's like nobody there. It's terrific. Yeah. It really is a great time. You get more questions.
It was me and Danny Segura and Oscar just hanging in the back, basically.
And Oscar just showed up, on Saturday? That was his.
Yeah, Oscar was not there for the media day stuff. The media day was like me, Danny, and locals, and that was it. And like a couple of the locals at this point I know, at least in passing, they've gone to the PFL stuff when PFL was doing like a series of shows here, but like it was quite sparse. So it was just me and Danny. I hadn't seen Danny in a long time, so nice to catch up with him. Hung out with Oscar on Saturday a little bit. That was fun. So, not terrible, but man, if you were watching at home, I think that might have been rough.
It was tough. Yeah, I had three screens going on at one point. I had UFC on the TV. I had Dirty Boxing on the laptop. And then for maybe 30 seconds, I had BKFC Mohegan Sun on this screen that I'm looking at right now, because I had to watch Paca Porter do his thing, and he did it very quickly. So that was good. Dirty Boxing was kind of a weird card. Not the greatest event of all time, but there were a couple of really good fights. Jairzinho Rozenstruik got a knockout, and then the UFC was the UFC. 6-fight main cards at 10 p.m. Eastern is just insane. But luckily, the karmic gods bounce back for this week.
Better than PFL, because let me tell you, I also had to cover the PFL for us, the 11 p.m. main card. And I will transparently say this now. I worked that. I wrote up everything about it for the site. I could not tell you a single thing that happened in that card, because it was because they put Logan Storley on at midnight. Just absolute malpractice that it is midnight. I had an awful like my Thursday was one of legitimately the worst days I've had in many years. And then at midnight, I have to watch Logan friggin' Storley go on. Oh, PFL was so brutal this week. UFC wins by default.
That's so funny.
Dude, it was
Hilarious.
Thursday was so bad, man.
All right. Well, let's get into the questions. Of course, the super chatters get carte blanche. They get put to the front of the line. So let's go. Shout out. Great name, Michael Harris. Great question here. And this kind of ties into the fallout of UFC Atlanta. Who is more delusional, Justin Gaethje or Kamaru Usman, or is it the UFC's fault? So, Jed, in case people aren't aware, Justin Gaethje is pretty pissed off. Did a podcast. The name escapes me right this second, but Gaethje kind of went off. It wasn't full send. It was a different show. Anyways, if you go to MMAfighting.com, we credit him. It's a great website. Justin's pretty pissed off about the lightweight title picture. He's essentially put his feet in the sand and said, look, I'm either getting a title fight, or if I'm not getting a title fight, you are giving me a big fat raise, because if I win this, whatever hypothetical fight you're going to give me, awesome, I get a title fight. If I lose, I'm going to be taken care of financially, which, it's kind of a fair thing for a fighter to say. Feels like he's gotten effed over by the UFC on multiple occasions, and he's done doing them favors. And Kamaru Usman wins on Saturday and basically said, I'm fighting for the belt. I'm the biggest name. If I'm involved, it's the biggest fight the UFC can make for this division. And he is no selling Belal Muhammad and all the things that have happened. Now, since then, Usman went on his own show with Henry Cejudo, still believes that Usman being involved in a title fight is the biggest fight the UFC can make right now for the division. But instead of, I'm definitely getting the shot, I'm the man, I'm fighting for a belt, now it's sort of turned into, I would just like to say that I've earned the right to be in this conversation. So he seems like he's taking a little bit of a step back from where he was on Saturday. But who is more delusional in your opinion, Jed? Is it Justin Gaethje or is it Kamaru Usman after his win on Saturday?
It's a really good question, because it depends on what you mean by delusional to me, right? Like, I think both men are kind of right and both men are a lot of wrong here. And what I'll qualify this as quickly as I can. Usman, I didn't believe Usman, like, just straight up. Like, I don't think Usman believed it himself. I talked to him at pre-fight media day, and he basically said the same stuff like before the fight and then as he did after the fight. Like, this is the biggest fight. And to me, it was pretty evident that, like, he is not going to say he will fight Belal. And I'm actually okay with that, right? Like, I know you guys were talking about it on the post show and you're talking about it on Otno. I think that that's fine, because I think he just doesn't like Belal Muhammad and doesn't want to give Belal shine. And ultimately, he's going to fight Belal Muhammad. I think we all understand that that's going there. But he doesn't feel the need to give Belal shine. And if he can speak truth to power, maybe he can, finagle his way into a title fight. He can't. And if he like believed that in his soul and was going to stand 10 toes down, I will only fight for the belt next, then I would think that he is being wildly delusional. He never said that he would only fight. He was just staking his claim. And as you said, already walked that back a little bit. We know where it's going. And so I don't think that that's all that delusional. Maybe it's a misstep. Maybe it'd be better to build the fight with Belal, but him no selling Belal is to some extent building it anyway. So I don't think he's really that delusional here, based on the premise that I don't think he believes what he is saying. If he does, then he's obviously extremely delusional, because despite a great performance and a great win, he's like fourth in line welterweight right now. Like, he just definitionally needs to fight. And I would argue he should, if this is a mistake, the mistake is that he should try and fight Belal before Belal fights somebody else. Because if he beats Belal, as you pointed out, I believe it was you pointed out, on to the next one, there's no doubt about it, he's next in line. He beats Joaquin Buckley and then goes and puts on a similar performance against Belal. He's fighting for the belt next, no questions asked. But if he, does this song and dance, maybe Machado Gary gets Belal, and suddenly Usman still has to fight somebody, but now he is going to fight a Michael Morales or something. And so that would be the only misstep from Usman. Gaethje is both delusional and totally justified, in my opinion, right? Like, I don't think he's going to fight the winner of UFC 317. I wouldn't say that's impossible, but I don't think it's going to happen. And so the 10 toes down, if I don't fight, I'm retiring, that is delusional. That being said, totally justified. Like, he should be absolutely furious. People don't want to hear this. The chat will blow up at me. People will tag me in tweets and shit afterwards. He is more deserving of this title fight than Ilia Topuria because he has relevant, significant wins at lightweight, and Ilia Topuria does not. And Ilia Topuria has one successful title defense at the weight below him. This is transparently, they want Ilia fighting for the belt, and it was always going to be Ilia versus somebody, be that Islam, be that Charles. But like in a legitimately meritocratic world, I'm not saying Gaethje is the most deserving, but he is certainly more deserving than Topuria in this situation. The most deserving would be Arman Tsarukyan versus Charles 2.0 for the belt or whatever. But so he has a little bit of like a reason to feel hard done by. People forget like he didn't have to do 300. Like the 300 thing was hey, oh shit, it's 8 weeks out and people are noting that 300's kind of ass right now. Like there was a whole lot of it on the MMA Hour at the time of like, what's going on? Like why this should be the biggest card ever and it's trash. And then all that kind of went away when Justin Gaethje fought Max Holloway. It was like, oh, that fight's happening. Cool. Justin didn't have to do that. Justin was probably in line for the belt. He did them a favor. It did not work out for him at all in that regard. And so and then he fought Fiziev again, taking a fight on short notice, a fight he didn't have to. He feels, I would say justifiably, like he's earned a little bit here. And the UFC, at least at this point, does not seem inclined to give it to him. And so I do think it is delusional from a practical standpoint because this will not happen for him. But you know, like he should feel this way. Like he is entitled to feel hard done by. Whereas if Usman actually believed the things he was saying, like he shouldn't feel that way. That's obviously crazy.
I actually think Usman feels the way he feels. Like he did walk it back a little bit, but I truly think he believes that because of what he has done, he deserves to just jump everybody else and get a title fight. I think he's insane.
If he genuinely believes that, he is delulu.
I don't even know if it's true that if he's part of the title fight, it's the biggest fight in the division right now. It might be, but I'm not totally sold on that premise at all because, again, especially with today's UFC and the way the fan base evolves, there is a big chunk of UFC fans who watched Kamaru Usman fight for the very first time on Saturday. Like, that's crazy to think about for you and I and like half the people in the chat right now who've seen Usman fight for years. But there are a lot of people who saw this man fight for the first time on Saturday.
There's a bigger chunk who saw him win for the first time because he hadn't won in 4 years, Mike. 4 years. It's a long time.
And that win was against Colby Covington in a rematch after he finished Colby in the first fight. So like, I don't know, man. Even like things he was saying over the last year and a half, that like when I'm coming back, like I'm going to get right into a title. Like when Belal won the belt, there were people like he legitimately was saying like, forget Shavkat, forget all these guys. Like it should be me and Belal. What? Like what is, I feel like him being out for so long has made him like just unrealistic to the current product. So I think there's just a little bit of insanity to the things that he is saying. And he's sort of believes he's back in 2019 right now. It's just not that way anymore. We're just in a different UFC. We're in a different world right now. It was a great win. It's exactly what he needed. It was dominant. It was not all that competitive. Fifth round was interesting because Buckley started to wake up a little bit, but yeah, good win. Now go fight Belal. That's a big fight. Like even with the belt on the line, like I think that is the biggest, most realistic fight for him right now. Like you got some heat. You actually have a rival right now for the first time since Colby. Like jump all over this. Do it.
Rival wants to talk, and that's like at the post presser. Like if you go watch it, like I was trying to throw him that lifeline because he is out here standing on the corner of I'm fighting for the belt, and you know, like you can say that, but like. Even if you think that this is the path or like what you deserve, you have to at least recognize that that's not a certainty, that is not a given, that that's most likely not even true given the texture and layout of the weight class right now. Like you have to have that self-awareness. And so I asked him, was like, you said you want a big fight. there is also a big fight with Belal. Like that is unequivocally a big fight too. Like that can co-main event to pay-per-view, headline a fight night card abroad somewhere. Like that is equally as big a fight. And he just was like, nope. And again, like if it's just that he personally doesn't like Belal, I can understand it. It's probably not ideal. He should probably be opening the door to things because he's just going to have to fight somebody. He's not jumping the line right now unless every other person in front of him stubs their toe or trips on a lead pipe or whatever. Like he's not getting that title shot. And so the way to solve it is beat Belal. Like he beats Belal, and there's not a human being alive who would argue that he is not the deserving challenger, given sort of his career and what's happened. And so it seems really obvious he doesn't want to do that yet, but I do think that's where we're going to end up. And he's just going to slowly start walking this back as we go, as more pushback comes, as the UFC is just levels with him like, dude, you're not fighting for the belt. Come on, be real. We'll get there. And he maybe was a missed opportunity Saturday.
100%. Like even if I'm not usually a fan of whoever the UFC wants to give me, I'll take. Like that would have been better of him saying like, I'll fight Shafkat, I'll fight Gary, I'll fight Belal, I'll fight any of these guys. Like I know if I need one more win, cool. Like I'll fight one more time. But this whole like, I'm only fighting for the belt and then I'm going to go fight for the middleweight belt. Just good win. The emotion that came over him was really good. And then it just all kind of went to shit.
I'm okay with the middleweight belt thing because like, if he just lays that out, like, fine, I'll go beat Belal and then I'm going to fight the winner. I'm going to reclaim the welterweight belt and I'm not going to defend it. Like, I'm not going to pretend that I'm going to defend it. I'm going to go fight the last fight of my career against Dricus or Hamzat. Like, that's a pretty cool career arc to lay out, right? Like, I am with him to the point of him fighting Islam. If we got there, would be really cool. Like, that is former pound for pound, as he said, versus current pound for pound. That would be legitimately dope. But like, shit, Mike, I'm not trying to rush the dope things because that makes them not dope, right? Like that makes it less cool if we're just trying to make this happen, which is absolutely what we'd be doing. Like if he goes and beats Belal and earns it and then fights Islam and then hell, he's at that, if he beats Islam, he's probably like reclaimed, if not all the way, he's like the top 2 or 3 pound for pound fighters in the world. And then his final career fight is to pursue the middleweight belt. That's a great story. I hope it happens. It'd be really, really cool. But we got to get there honorably, not just like because.
Yeah, 100%. Unfortunately for Justin Gaethje, I think he's screwed no matter what. Now that Arman Sarukian's the backup fighter. If Charles wins, they're probably going to give it to Arman. If Ilya wins, Gaethje's got no chance. That's got to be Patty for sure.
It's not close.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I think Gaethje got cooked. And again, he should feel upset about it because I do think he got like a little bit fucked here. Not like totally, right? Like at the end of the day, he did accept the 300 fight and he lost. And that's part of the risk reward ratio. You sort of have to make that calculus when you take that. But I think he can feel hard done by in that he has been, if not the second most exciting fighter of all time. I think he is clearly the most, but undeniably in the top like 3. He has delivered 4 fight of the years since signing with this promotion. He has always said yes, bailed them out time and again, never not delivered a stone cold banger when he is in a spot to do so. Literally is like he and Max made 300 not suck. Like that event would be remembered as a failure, even though it was top to bottom pretty fun, right? Like if you remove the Max and Gaethje part, that card, 6-8 months away, now that just looks like an event, right? Like a stacked event and a good one, but it is not remembered for what they gave us that night. And he could think, man, I deserve a little bit of something here. You guys, Dana White came out this week and just straight up said, we went to New Orleans for Dustin Poirier. It's the only reason we're doing this. Justin Gaethje can't get like a friendly title fight. They gave Poirier a friendly title fight. Straight up gave his ass one. And like, no one was upset. It was cool. I was very, very proponent of it. But they gave him a title fight for beating BSD, who's like number 12 or whatever. Gaethje can't get one for beating Fiziev on short notice again. Like he should feel a little hard done by in this. And I ultimately think that he will not retire. and that he'll probably just get a little bit more money and have to go fight Dan Hooker whenever Dan Hooker heals up, and that'll be cool as hell. And maybe then if he wins that, he gets a title fight. But I understand his feelings here.
Yeah. Tough spot for him. We'll see what happens. Jay Fish, Mike, thoughts on the Red Sox Devers trade? Jesus Christ, man.
Every person I know who is from Boston was unpleased.
Puzzled.
I don't know a single thing about baseball, but people were not happy about that.
If they had done it like a month prior, then I would have been like, I still would have been pissed, but I wouldn't have been as surprised as I was. The timing of it was just so weird. Like they just went out there and beat the shit out of the Yankees all weekend. And Devers was like a huge part of it. Like he was a huge part of that win on Sunday. And then he's traded like right after. So like, I don't know. It's super weird. The brass talked yesterday and they were like, I wouldn't be surprised if we win more games without him than we did with him. And maybe that's true. I don't know. I'm not in that locker room. I don't know. I know like talent wise and what he's been doing. It sucks, man. And I just bought this like sick ass Red Sox hat that came yesterday. It's awesome. And I'm going to wear it with pride, even though they made this deal, but yeah, didn't see it coming. You know, I watched the Sox beat the Yanks, was watching the US Open. We took a trip to the beach, came home, was watching like the tail end of what JJ did on Sunday. And then this news drops and I was like, holy shit, like what is happening right now? So stunner, absolutely a stunner. And hopefully this works out better than them getting rid of Mookie and Xander and some of these other guys, because those did not work out at all. And it's very frustrating. So yeah, life of a Red Sox fan.
I don't know a single thing about baseball. I will say I was pro this trade because the internet was great yesterday. Just watching like people on TikTok, like with their reactions to tell their like Sox fan father, like, hey, they just traded him. And he's like, cool. Great joke. Happy Father's Day or whatever. And it's like, no, we're being serious. Like, all right, quit yanking my chain. No, like check your phone and see if you're like, what the hell is going on? It was terrific. I'm sorry for all the Red Sox fans out there. This seems awful. Though one of my friends who is a deep Boston, you've met him, Mike, deep Boston guy, has already talked himself into it. He's already been like, apparently everybody in the locker room is pro this. He was awful. So, good move. And I was like, way to spin yourself a yarn.
Yeah. I mean, I hope he's right, but we'll see. I just got to get over the initial shock of it. And then, I mean, they won yesterday, so they're 1-0 without him. We're undefeated without Devers. So
this is a Moneyball move, Mike. This is like when in Moneyball, they traded Pena or whoever they were trading. I don't remember. They
traded Carlos Pena. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pena,
this is it.
Jeremy Giambi.
Yeah. This is it. This is Moneyball right here.
Blood and Beer with Umar's comments on the Russian podcast. Would Islam refusing to vacate the 155 belt before UFC 317 be the funniest thing to ever happen to a UFC event?
No, because
I mean, it would be, but
it just wouldn't matter. I refuse to vacate it. Cool. Well, we took it from you. The UFC will just take it from him if he's like, I'm not giving this up willing. It's like, all right, well, it's ours now because it is their belt to give. They could give the lightweight title to Topuria tomorrow and nobody could stop them. Right? Like they just do that. So, if like he had agency to actually be like, never mind, then that would be really funny. Just because like it would absolutely destroy all of their best laid plans, but he has no agency. So it wouldn't be funny at all. They would just strip him.
Yeah. He's just not the champion anymore. Like they could just look, the UFC could do whatever they want. Remember what happened when Leon Edwards was like, they wanted Leon to fight Hamzat Chimaev. Yeah. And Leon was like, nah, I want to fight for the belt. And they just took him out of the rankings.
It's like, all right, well,
you're out.
Bye.
Like if Islam like straight up goes public and refuses to vacate the title, they'll just, not only will they make him vacate, they'll remove him from the pound for pound rankings. They'll remove him from everything. Like they could just do that anytime they want to, because
fighters have no leverage. They have no power to do anything. Like it would not influence their business one bit if Islam tried to pick a fight with them and they just burned him to the ground. Just like, all right. Yeah. I mean, half the fans would be like, well, Islam's stupid. And I know this because I watched the Francis Ngannou UFC negotiations in real time, where half the fans were like, obviously Francis is afraid, and the UFC
Oh
have
my
never
God.
done anything wrong in their whole lives. Like, I don't know what you guys are looking at, but okay, like fighters don't have any leverage. They can just take the belt from him. So is what it is.
Yeah. Speaking of,
I'll say that's also a really good answer to a couple of other questions I've seen in there.
Yeah, Usman's no sell is simply a negotiation tactic. But you can't, there are no negotiation tactics right now against the UFC when you're Kamaru Usman. You got nothing to negotiate with. What are you going to say? I'll just retire. They'll be like, okay, you haven't fought in 2 years anyways. It's fine. We got plenty of welterweights that can go fight for the belt. Like, think of all the incredible fights we can make at 170 right now. And if you're not a part of it, like, fine. See ya. All good.
I think it's much more likely just he does not like Belal, and so he's trying to diminish Belal. Maybe it's a sell tactic, right? To like build up the juice without just like saying some shit. But like he's not negotiating anything. The UFC he's gonna fight for what the UFC gives him because that's what happens.
I mean, if he's trying to paint Belal Muhammad as a good guy, he's doing a damn good job. He's doing a very good job right now because he's turning Belal babyface. Eyes are plants. The UFC name is the star, yet the sport has also become less and less compelling. If you had to name one reason why beyond title fights, what is it? Why it's less and less compelling?
That depends on how deep you want this answer, Eyes are planets. The fundamental real answer is that the UFC is a monopoly. Technically, they're probably a monopsony. Same core concept for what we're talking about. And just look at history. Monopolies have never led to good product. They don't. Like, they lead to better product in a very short window of time. And then inexorably it gets worse because like the fundamental principle of capitalism, which is a, system that I'm not like a huge fan of in general, but like the one we work under is that competition breeds like better stuff. Monopolies are the exact antithesis of that. And the UFC has no competition. And so they don't have to try. And that's why the product is worse. And in fact, they're incentivized to not have stars because stars have some point of leverage. And so they are incentivized not to do so. So the answer for why the product is worse is that. If you'd like something a little more specific than that, I would just say, like, for me, it's been the same people running it. And it would be cool to have, like, you could just make it better with some more creative stuff happening. Like, Noche wasn't great, but it was cool because it was different. And there's just so little difference or nuance. It is all just sort of cookie cutter here. And I would love some spice in this particular life.
Yes, I'm with you. Yeah, there's too many events as well. That is hurting the long-term growth of the sport. I mean, it's getting short-term growth, no doubt about it. But it was always like there's a 5-year cycle life of MMA fans. It was like that when we were really starting to get into the sport, especially around like 2013, 2014, 2015, all the way up to like 2017, 2018. It was like a 5-year run, and then you're just done. And then people are just out because it's too much to keep up with. And that was before this ESPN deal, where we're getting 43 events a year, plus Contender Series, plus the Ultimate Fighter, ancillary programming, etc. And it's just too much. And like any complaint I have from like friends of mine who casually watch the UFC, they literally only care for pay-per-view so they could bet on it. They don't care about the stories of the fighters. They just want to like watch fights and bet on them. That's what it comes down to. So yeah, it's just too much to keep up with. There's so many throwaway events, and there's no way to differentiate them outside of the venue. Because even the Apex cards, their brass is saying like the almighty Apex, the glorious Apex, which there's no difference to watching a fight night at the Apex and watching in front of a place that has the fight night gate record, which is ridiculous. But their viewpoint is like fans can't tell the difference. It's crazy. It's nuts.
They don't want fans to tell the difference because what benefit is that? Like, I could write probably 1,000 pages on how the UFC could improve. But the truth is they would not improve their business model. Their business model is almost a perfect predatory entity. And that is the thing they care about. That is what capitalism promotes. That is certainly what the UFC promotes. And so like they are making all the money they can, and all of the suggestions I would make the product demonstrably better and would have no effect or potentially even hurt their bottom line. Right? Like there are too many events. There are too many fighters on roster. They have like at any point in time between like 600 and 700 people on roster. It should be like 4. There's 400 people on roster means you can see people fight multiple times a year. Like you can have fewer events because you don't have to offer everybody a fight. Like the sport would be better if there were 32 UFC events a year, because it would open up room for other promoters to also host event, and the UFC events would be the best of the best instead of 300 contender series people and all the best fighters in the world. Like there are myriad problems. They all come back to this is a business, and they won the business, and so they do not have to do anything other than maximize profits, which almost definitionally comes at the expense of the consumer experience.
Yeah, it's the TKO way. Look at what WWE's doing right now. Exact same thing. They're taking a big bag of money to go to different locations. They're doing the Saudi thing. They're going to Australia. They're going everywhere that will pay them to come. And then when they put tickets on sale, they're almost impossible to afford unless you go to like a smaller market, like a Savannah, Georgia, or something like that, where if they're not selling out, then they'll drop the tickets the week of. But yeah, they're doing the exact same thing. And the product in WWE like isn't that spectacular right now. Like if you watch Raw, it's just like, Jesus Christ, like just a lot of talking, no wrestling. There's just a lot of people talking with microphones, and some of that stuff's compelling, but it's the same exact business model right now. They're doing the exact same thing. They're cutting talent. They're cutting, especially the bigger contracts. And then like when they realized they made a mistake, they present it as, oh no, that's just a storyline. Hope you're enjoying the show, with the whole R-Truth situation. So yeah, it's crazy. It's just where they're at right now. The only way to stop it is don't buy tickets. Don't buy them. That's it. That's literally all you can do to stop it. There's nothing else you could do. You can get rid of your ESPN Plus subscription. That'll show them. No, it won't. Oh, I just won't buy the pay-per-views. That also won't show them, because they're still making millions and millions of dollars by just hosting it on ESPN's platform of networks, not to mention the international broadcast partners. They're making the lion's share of the money from site fees and these ridiculous gates. 3 million something. It was over a $3 million gate. It was a huge gate for Atlanta. It was like the second biggest fight. Yeah, biggest fight night gate of all time in North America was UFC Atlanta.
State Farm was fully packed out. Tickets were not cheap. I looked fight week, and like the truth, there's no way to stop it. This is why monopolies are bad. Like this is why we actively disincentivize them. There is no way to stop it. You could stop buying. We could stop buying. The people watching the show could stop buying and tuning in, and that wouldn't affect them at all, because I guarantee you, State Farm seats like 20,000. Hold on, let me look up how many people can go to State Farm Arena. Occupancy. It's like it's like it's between 16 and 20 on the venue. So like let's say seats 20,000 people. I guarantee you like a very small percentage of that know about this show, read MMAfighting.com, great website. Like the people attending this thing aren't really MMA fans. Like they are the broad casual fan of there's a UFC event. Let's go. It might be kind of like it'll be a fun thing to do, but they aren't watching every fight card. They're not tuning in to our post shows, like, because they don't give a shit about it. They're there for the spectacle, for the event, and maybe they know 1 or 2 fighters because they tune in enough. And that's okay. Like, I'm not here to disparage those fans, but like that's who the UFC caters to. They don't cater to us. They have us. They don't give a shit about us.
Yeah, we got UFC 300. That was it. And that wasn't even, and that was just what they coddled together. And we appreciated it much more than the casual fan that they're actually pushing towards. Chase, is Jon Jones the only fighter on the roster who has any leverage to negotiate with the UFC?
No, but he's one of a limited few. And also, like, the term leverage is pretty loose here. Like, Jon has negotiated to, all reporting seems to suggest he has use the leverage he has to get a good offer in terms of UFC deal, but like he doesn't have enough to make them bend, right? Like he has enough. He cannot break the UFC. He can maybe, okay, well, it's still financially worth it to give up a little bit more here. And like Connor can do that. There are a couple of other people, like Ilya's going to be there very, very soon. If he's not there already, because they're basically selling the farm to put behind him right now. You know, Alex could do that a little bit, but like really, fighters don't have much. They've got a little bit. They can't add a 0 to their paychecks. They can add, you know, a couple of ones to the front end of it is like the best any of them can ever hope to do.
Yeah. In 5 years, who will be the top 5 lightweights for you? I'll go with Arman, Dawson, Oralby, Hooper, and Ilya. This is from RS40. Baja Mondays and Patty will be welterweights in 5 years, he thinks. So top 5 years from now.
5 years is a long time.
It really
5 years
is
a very long time. I agree Arman will still be in the top 5 at that point.
Yes.
I will also concur that Ilya will be in the top 5.
Yes.
I'm legitimately less certain of that. As we get closer, Ilya's not a lightweight, and if he has like a sustained run of excellence at lightweight, that'll be very impressive. He's not a big fellow. He is just, and you know, the weight cut's hard. The weight cut's hard for everybody. That's why it's a weight cut. This is a totally wrong way to view things, Mike, but it's 100% true. Miss me with your hard weight cut shit. Kayla Harrison did it. You can fucking do it, right? Like that is just where I'm at right now. Like, oh, you think you had a hard weight cut? Kayla Harrison did it. So suck it up. Like, it's not that hard. But Ilya's small, legitimately like a pretty small dude for lightweight. I am not as confident, but he's still incredibly talented. So I'll go there. I do not think Grant Dawson will be there. Grant's like 31 already. In 5 years, be 36. That'd be really impressive from him, frankly. Patty's not a terrible choice. I don't think Patty's gonna go to welterweight. So Patty might be my third. Trying to think who's a hot shit guy coming up that I'm high on right now. It's also young enough for 5 years. A long time, Mike. It's a long time.
It is.
Who do you have? What do you got here?
I mean, I'm with Arman and Ilya for sure.
I'm looking down the list here.
Dawson maybe, but if Dawson fights like a super well-rounded guy, I don't love his chances.
Honestly,
in these fights, like I know he's being.
Guess.
I know there's rumor and innuendo he's fighting Joel Alvarez. That fight is not done. It's not on MMAfighting.com, which is a great website. I am not picking Grant Dawson in that fight if that's the fight they go with. Joel Alvarez is an absolute mutant. And he
Usman,
hits like a truck.
Geo 4628.
Oh, good call.
Usman Nurmagomedov, 100%.
Very possible.
I'll go with the 3 I said.
I'm gonna put John Silva in that conversation.
Don't hate it. Also small, which I'm concerned about. I'll go Danny Zellhuber. I really like Zellhuber. I think he's quite talented.
Oh, that's a good one.
He's 25.
How old is Esteban Ribovic?
Oh, Ribovic is let's look that up. Hold on. He's young, I believe, but I don't think I want to say he's like 27, 28, but it's 29.
Yeah, so he'll
could
be 34. He could be.
Could be. But give me Daniel Zellhuber. Trying to think if there's just any other lightweight that I'm like forgetting about that I'm super, super high
like
on.
Oralby I like a lot, but man,
Oralby's already old.
If he keeps taking beatings like he took against Matusz Rebecki, like there's not a lot of staying power for that. Because he got that fight ruled, but his face in that fight, he just got mangled in that one. So maybe Thiago Moises gets over the hump. I don't know.
No,
he's got that talent, but
he's very talented. Too old. I might go Kevin Vallejos. Is also a featherweight.
Oh, that's a great call. That's a good shout.
he might end up bumping up. He's just super young. Like he's like 21. So he might actually just physically get larger in the next couple of years.
I think Killian Salkid is a guy, maybe.
Dude's coming on. Young man's coming on. But I think we gave a pretty solid list here of people.
Yeah. It's the best division in the sport. There's probably like 30 dudes we're not even thinking of.
Federico, Mauricio Huffy could absolutely be in that conversation. He's also a little older. 5 years is just the problem for like a lot of, like 5 years is disqualifying for anybody who's in their 30s to me. Maybe they could still do it. I mean, we're seeing currently, but the current crop of like UFC lightweights that are old and elite is an anomaly. This is not what you should anticipate ever to be the case. So like, maybe Ruffy could do it. I just wouldn't bet on it because he's already like, I think he's 30.
Yeah, it's the best division in the sport. It's not easy.
It's hard.
Let's go to some other questions. Sean O'Malley's coach, this is from Joseph Boza, had Joe Riggs on a podcast, and Joe Riggs said that Jared Cannonier was forced to fight MVP or he would lose his job. What are your thoughts on Jared being forced into that fight?
Well, I can't confirm that this is true, so I want to clarify that. This is obviously the speculation. I didn't even see the interview. It goes to what we were saying. Fighters don't have leverage. I don't know if this is true or not. Wouldn't shock me if it's true because I'm sure Jared Cannonier has a big carry, right? Like I am certain he is getting paid a substantial sum of money per, his contract.
He fought for a belt.
Doesn't bring a ton of eyeballs to the table. His usefulness to the UFC at this stage of his career is to enhance talent to the elite level of the middleweight division. And, that's a worthy skill for them, but is it worth paying $250,000 a timeout? Probably not. And so if he is going to buck at all or be difficult at all, they could just cut him because that'd be easier for him. Like, all right, well, go on. We wish you well. Have fun in PFL. It's probably not going to go great for you. Maybe it does, but yeah, like I could believe this is true. It sucks for him if it's true. But fighters should have unionized forever ago and they're never going to do it. That's on them.
No, it's over. That world is over. It's never going to happen. It's absolutely never going to happen. So, I mean, once Jared Cannonier starts doing media, when I hear it from him, then I'll believe it more than Joe Riggs, who
I also strongly doubt he would say it though. Like
I think he would. I think he would.
Based on like better than
past
I do.
Conversations. Yeah,
you know him better.
I think he would. I think he absolutely would. I would also like to hear like John Crouch say that, and I'd feel a little bit better about it than Joe Riggs saying it. So, and then also like why
he shouldn't even be mad about that fight.
This is
right?
like as good. This is about as good of a fight as he could ask for right now because he ain't getting a title fight. He's not getting any of the massive names in this division. He's getting MVP who like could beat him.
Yeah, but this is winnable and it's a big name.
For sure. Absolutely. So like, I think like why would he be
who would he want to fight is my question. Like who would he want to fight question.
Yeah, he thinks he's gonna fight Drickus or get a title shot. Like he's out of his mind.
They're never gonna give you Izzy. Like nobody will ever pay money to watch you fight Izzy again. Like, do you want to fight Fluffy? That seems shitty. I'd super rather fight MVP than Fluffy.
100%.
So like this is
without question.
A lot of grains of salt.
This is pretty good on a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
This would be a main card pay-per-view fight. Like it's not a bad place to be, honestly. Lazy Bed, Mike and Jed, Twitter seems to be split on Khalil getting a custom fight kit. Should we support more fighters getting custom trunks or should it be reserved for champions?
Hot take. I think all fighters should get custom trunks because one of the worst things that's happened in this sport is the fight kits. I hate the fight kits more than I hate Michael Chandler. I hate them so much. I even saw one. I saw one in the wild today at the gym. Some dude was rocking a kit. I couldn't see who it was because he's wearing a backpack, but like they're terrible. They are like literally the face of my issues with modern UFC, and that it made everything monochromatic. It's like, here, let's take out, like, this sport has very few expressions of individuality anyway. Let's remove those and brand them ourselves. Like, that is unequivocally what happened. They removed one of the few opportunities for fighters to express themselves individually and to pay themselves, to instead put here is a blanket of what we do, and we collect the money and you guys get some money. It is atrocious. And if you were a fight fan in the early 2000s or the late 90s, you could be a fan of a fighter purely because they had dope ass shorts. BJ Penn had the coolest shorts I've ever seen. That was one of the reasons I was like, that guy rules. He's got white shorts with the black belt stitched onto him. That's sick as hell. Chuck Liddell's iconic Iceman shorts. Like, these are things that are meaningful in real tangible ways to the viewer and consumer experience, and they got rid of them. I think it's awesome that Khalil Rountee got fight shorts. Like, and they're cool. Like, they legitimately look cool. He did a video like explaining sort of the ideas behind them. It is an abomination that fighters all do this, like, just are forced to do this, and I hate it so much.
Fair enough. It was funny because I talked to Khalil Rountee literally 10 minutes before they released those fight trunks, so I didn't even get to even ask him about it. It was like the interview ended, and then 10 minutes later, oh, here's the custom shorts. Awesome. But that's coming up pretty soon. Good stuff.
Dude, Tito's flame shorts, and I don't even like Tito, but like, it's just, it is so much cooler if fighters get to do this. And like, you know, it's so, and they just look different. They don't all look like they are the same person, palette swapped one over another to make everything as monotonous as possible. Like, they have bludgeoned the individuality out of the sport. And like, look, there might be things that suck straight up. If tomorrow they were like, you can wear whatever you want, 100% somebody's rolling in MAGA shorts, and that would be obnoxious to look at. But like, that's better than this shit.
What are Mike and Jed's thoughts on UFC BJJ being a reality, and it kicks off International Fight Week? Yes, UFC BJJ. I actually spoke with Mikey Musumeci. That interview is actually going to drop tomorrow on MMAfighting.com. Great website. Video on this here YouTube channel. One thing I will say about Mikey Musumeci, he is passionate about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he is a talker. Jesus Christ. This guy talks and talks and talks. My grandmother used to always say, like, oh my God, you're like a motor mouth. That's a Mikey Musumeci is. This guy just talks, and it's pretty fun because he's so passionate about it. But a lot of controversy with this one, Jed. Craig Jones has been a little up in arms about it. He basically said, like, okay, they're trying to like copy our style and what we're trying to do, and maybe put the whole CGI thing out of business because it has the UFC. Maybe, but then there's like the other side of it. I saw something from Alex Wendling, who was a guest on the show on a couple of occasions. She asked a question on social media: is the UFC being involved in the BJJ space and MMA media promoting it? I guess not even promoting it, but just like interviewing the combatants or the representatives from it. Does that mean that MMA media is sheep because they are doing it only because of the UFC? Or is this good for the sport that now BJJ has the UFC name attached to it, more eyeballs attached to International Fight Week, more people can watch the sport than maybe ever before because they have the UFC backing? Where are you with all of this? At least for me, I think this is probably a good thing, and just learning more about it and just seeing they can't call it the pit, I'm told. But it's basically in a bowl. Like, they're grappling in a bowl.
Yeah, the pit is
which I like it.
BJJ surface. Craig Jones,
which I like
figured it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't see Alex's comments, so taking off your paraphrase, that's a bad either or, because those things aren't the same. I would say that there is certainly a chunk of the media that are sheep and are just doing stuff because the UFC said to do it. I would also say that's not most of the media, and not relevant here. We covered CJI, right? Like, we have covered. We don't cover Mundials because, people don't give a fuck about Mundials. That's why we don't do it. Like, We go where the things are covered. And this, at least in its first iteration, is something that will be covered. Whether we continue to do so will largely just be a result of how this does, right? And if people show an interest in this. I mean, fuck, dude, we cover the NCAA collegiate wrestling championships. Like, this is not the UFC is doing it, so we must. Though there is a piece of it where, like, with the UFC, when the biggest promoter in combat sports gets behind something, that is probably at least worth your time initially to see. Granted, not all the time. We don't cover power slap, right? Like, that's not a thing that we do. And so, I would take umbrage with that sort of couching, even if there certainly is a chunk of people that are just doing it because the UFC said so. The other thing on it, I don't know that this will be, I would broadly assume this is bad for BJJ. And I will freely admit, I'm speaking a little out of my ass here. This is not my bailiwick. I trained for a long time, but I just, like, I would try and watch some competitive jiu-jitsu for a while, and it just never stuck with me in the same way. Like, I've watched Mundials and it's terrible. ADCC is not great. I do think Craig Jones sort of really figured out the best way to go about things, but they've been kind of making sort of progressive iterations. Eddie Bravo, the EBI, made some steps, like, just not for me in the same way that MMA is. I would just say that the UFC getting involved in anything is bad because they are killing MMA as a sport, or doing their best to. And, like, they aren't coming to BJJ to be the saviors. They are coming to implement the same things they do in this sport to that sport and hope it gets over. And so I would suggest that maybe in the short term, it is good. It brings more eyeballs. Long term, it's probably bad, but that might be Chicken Little, Jed.
I'm curious.
And I don't care about it at all. Mikey Musumeci does some cool stuff. Like, my fundamental issue with BJJ, I've discovered, is, like, it is the ultimate, just show me the highlights. Like, I don't need to see the full match. It does not appeal to me in that way, but you show me the highlights, and or like somebody playing De La Hiva into like a Barambola. I'm like, that's cool as hell, but I don't need to see the 10 minutes that precede it and nothing occurs.
Yeah. I'll watch it. The pit thing is interesting because there's no, like, I like the fact that, like, if you're up against the side, Mike, you was saying, like, if you go up against the side, like, you're literally just sliding down it. Like, it's so slick. There's no, like, sticking to it. You literally just slide down it. And then he says it's very violent for Brazilian jiu-jitsu, which, I think that's fine. But again, and I just kind of have to see it. Like, I could care less about the reality show and the Ultimate Fighter stuff. Like, I literally don't care about any of that. I think you guys all know my feeling about the Ultimate Fighter. That thing should have been off the air a decade ago because it's literally the same exact show as it was the first time around, and they've done literally nothing with it. But Dana just won't let it die. Just won't let it die. So I'm intrigued by it, but we'll see. Andy, UFC Chicago fights look great. What are your opinions? So we have DDP and Hamza. We got the aforementioned. We got the aforementioned Cannoiner MVP fight. We got UFC just announced 3 fights today. Brian Battle versus Nursultan Rutsabayev at middleweight, by the way. It is a middleweight bout. Brian Battle moving up. Edson Barboza versus Drakkar Klose at lightweight. And King Green versus Carlos Diego Ferreira, also at lightweight, Jed. So those are the 3 new additions to UFC 319. What else we got on that card? Tim Elliott, Kaya Sakura. Karine Silva, JJ Aldrich, Alexander Hernandez, Chase Hooper, Jessica Andrade, Lupi Godinez, and Gerald Mearshart and Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. Thoughts on UFC 319 right now?
Dude, you could fill this card with, like, literal piles of feces being thrown by monkeys at each other. It wouldn't matter. This fight card, like, this is definition of one fight that. Then all these fights are pretty cool. Like, Cannoneer Page is super weird, but kind of interested, like, which is tough because I'm almost never interested in a Jared Cannonier fight, and this is at least kind of interesting. Tim Elliott, Kaya Sakura, that's just a great flyweight bout. Chase Hooper, Alexander Hernandez is, like, really intriguing. Is Chase Hooper like legit? Kind of seems like he might be legit, right? And this is, there are a lot of people that are better than Alexander Hernandez, but if Chase Hooper beats him, like we're gonna have to be like, okay, he's graduated from fun child to legitimate fist fighter. Battle Ruzabayev is probably just going to be a good time. Andrade Godinez, great matchup. King Green, CDF, solid. Mearshart, Oleksiejczuk. I mean, that's setting some Scrabble records right there with that matchup. Barboza close. Like, I don't know how much Barboza's got left in the tank, but it's appropriate matchmaking. Good, solid support for a main event that is, I think it's my most anticipated fight on the available right now, right? Like I can't think of another fight currently on the books or even that could be made that I am more interested in than DDP Hamzat. And so as long as the rest of it isn't like just stone cold, here are 12 contender series matchups, I'm good. But this is pretty solid. It could probably use a better co-main, like just a little juice there, but rock solid.
There's something that I'm seeing in the chat right now. I'm trying to confirm for all of you guys.
Is it the lazy bed imposter story? That's got heat in the chat.
I love that. We'll get to that in a second. Apparently, there's being reported that, not that this is like any surprise if this is true, the UFC 317 matchup between Paulo Costa and Roman Kopylov is being reported as off. This is not happening. So
please tell me that's true. God, that's funny if that's true.
So waiting to see if that is the case. If it is,
oh hell yeah, Paulo Costa.
We'll let you know as soon as
possible.
Way to
just be a super weirdo. Man, a lot of clear names on Paulo Costa's Tapology. A lot of fights that got booked and didn't happen.
What else we got? I'm trying to find this. There's so many comments. There's so much going on in the chat right now.
The chat's going places right now. It's terrific.
There's a lazy bread. Oh, there's a lazy bed and a lazy bread. Oh my God.
I don't know who to ban. I don't know which is the imposter.
Oh my God.
It could be either of them, you just can't tell.
I couldn't tell anyway. I mean, this is unbelievable.
Also, Joseph notes Costa to PFL. If he really is pulling out, honestly, he's probably getting his walking papers. Unless he's pulling out because his leg actually fell off. He might, in fact, get his walking papers.
Well, shit. Well, I got some messages out. We shall see if there is any truth to this information. I'll put it in the old Slack and get people who aren't doing a show right now to look into it as well. But yeah, keep those questions coming. What else we got? A lot of Jared Cannoiner love, apparently. Ferez Ayam is now in the lightweight conversation. It's not bad. Nazrat Hakparas, another guy. No. Manuel Torres, dark horse. I love the
Manuel Torres is a legitimate dark horse. Ferez Ayam is, I guess, viable. I just don't think he's very good. I think he's good. I just don't think he's that kind of good.
Rose Namajunas improved to 3-2 at women's flyweight. She's number 7 in the official UFC rankings. Where does she fit in the women's strawweight and women's? I assume he means flyweight division. If Weili versus Valentina does happen and doesn't happen. So Rose wins. She beat Miranda Maverick. MMA Fighting's official score was 30-27 Rose, which I think is correct. But Miranda, tough as shit, apparently tore ACL in the second round of that fight and kept on rolling. Rose gets the win. Didn't really do the thing. She named some stuff at the post-fight presser saying maybe Natty Ice, maybe Alexa. I don't know, but I would just kind of like to be in the title discussion. If they give me a title fight, I'm not going to say no to it. So where does she fit in this flyweight puzzle right now? What happens if Weili gets the shot at Valentina? What happens if Weili stays at 115?
I'm just operating the assumption Weili's fighting Valentina, because if that fight doesn't happen, it's very, very stupid. There's no good justification. Like it's one of the two fights, literally one of two fights in women's mixed martial arts that people broadly would care about. The other, of course, being the Amanda Nunes Kayla Harrison fight that seems to be on the docket as well. So, like, I just am assuming that is what's going to happen. If it doesn't happen, I don't know what's going on. Then I guess Natty Ice fights for the belt, but that seems silly and stupid. So, assuming that happens, I think there's just sort of a clear path here. Rose either fights Alexa Grasso or Natty Ice. It makes more sense, like, systemically to fight Natty Ice, but I think what we're going to have occur is Zhang comes up. Zhang fights Shevchenko. Natty Ice fights Erin Blanchfield because though she is the number one contender, just the timeline is going to necessitate her staying active. Erin Blanchfield just had the Macy Barber fiasco occur. So those two fight clear cut, no doubt about it, number one contender, unless Zhang beats Shevchenko and Rose beats Alexa Grasso. At that point, the UFC can say to themselves, well, guess it's trilogy time at 125 for these two women who are all the, like among the 10 greatest female fighters of all time and very important to us as a company. And we can just book that. And that'll be tough scenes for Erin Blanchfield or Natalia Silva, but I think that's where we're going. I didn't have an issue with her not like specifically calling anybody out. Because I do think either fight Natalia Silva or fight Alexa Grasso. No bad answers for Rose in that scenario.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I think if she called for Valentina, like even in a respectful way, I think that would have helped her in this conversation. But it's fine. We'll see what happens. She can't really lose another fight at this point.
She cannot.
She's hanging on by a thread, but yeah,
that's the other thing
win.
I like about the Grasso matchup is the loser is out. Like the loser's just out of the title picture forever. So like, I'm okay with that. We clear one of them off. Good.
So conversations that I'm having, it seems as if in regards to the Paulo Costa Roman Kopylov fight, it does not appear to be happening next weekend. Paulo Costa apparently is under the weather. He is sick, not cleared to compete. As of now, it is targeted to be moved to UFC 318 in New Orleans. So that fight it's not like it's never going to happen, but as of now, as it stands right this second, it apparently is being moved to UFC 318 in Nolens. So, and look, let's be honest here. 318.
Nice little bump for 318.
Needs it.
Yeah.
Needs it for sure. I mean, it's all about Dustin Poirier. I get that. But the rest of that card is not spectacular. So this will be a nice little boost for that card. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got here. Still, we got we got the lazy bed, lazy bread debacle going on. The chat is on fire. What's next for Ochoa? He looked good, man. He's fun to watch.
He did. Look, like I was a big supporter of him coming into the fight before this, right? Like he is making his UFC debut, and it was just a really tough thing to get Lonnie Kavanaugh. Like Lonnie Kavanaugh is just like one of the better prospects in the whole sport, but Ochoa was like no slouch, and then performed quite admirably in that fight. This weekend he comes out and he just works Cody Durden, who's like a really respectable fighter in his hometown, just works him over. Kid's 24, right? Like he's still super good. This is why I have been saying, right? Like, watch out. Flyweight is the new bantamweight in 3 years, because there are like 12 unbelievable flyweights who are below the age of 26. And so in like a couple of years, flyweight is going to be the division everybody's like, oh shit, everybody's really good here. And it's like, yeah. And Ochoa is just one of those dudes. So it doesn't matter, like just keep him busy. The thing he should do is stay active, follow the Josh playbook, right? Like stay in there, stay scrapping, stay busy, because you can't be don't be Bo Nickel, be Josh Van.
Yes. I would suggest Matt Schnell or Bruno Silva. One of those two guys. I think that makes sense. You could highlight reel. You get a nice little highlight reel against either of those guys.
Just no wrong way to eat this Reese's for me.
No. Is Wellmaker too old to make a serious run at bantamweight?
Yes.
I thought he was in his mid-20s, but he's 31. Yes, I'm with you.
No, that's why he wasn't a top end prospect for me off Contender Series. He's 31. And he does, I will say that like he is, if you're going to hope for a dude this old to make a run, he's got like the signs. He just seems to inherently understand how to fist fight. And so like maybe we can just rush him into, but like it just has to be a rush right now because he is so young, like, or so not young. And he even acknowledged that in post fight. He's like, yeah, I know I came to the sport a little late. But like I still feel young. It was like, you can feel young all you want. You're 31, you're dying. You're older than 25, you've started to die already. And that's just the reality of the human condition. So like the biggest issue with him being 31, one injury and it's over. It's curtains. Like he cannot, if he, and knock on wood, super don't want this to happen. If he Miranda Maverick and tears his ACL, it's over. He's out for a year. Suddenly he's 32, barely had any fights. We're done. And that's just the problem with getting in the sport this age. Very, very few people can do it. Daniel Cormier did it. But like, if your roadmap is to beat Daniel Cormier, one of the 25 greatest fighters who ever lived, that's a hard damn lane to walk. That's and DC was doing it at, light heavy and heavyweight, not bantamweight. It's a hard thing to pull off.
Look, he's fun. Cameron Simon win was pretty impressive. Cameron's on the downside, but still Cameron's solid. I don't think anybody was really surprised about the Chris Moutinho one. I think Moutinho fans were hoping for, a better result his second go around, but we knew as soon as this fight was made that this is how the UFC expected that one to go. Maybe Malcolm overexceeded with the ferocity of this knockout. That was just absolutely nasty. He's just real fun, man. Like I said, I saw his second and third pro fights cage side when I was covering the Icon FC cards, which is the Masvidal MMA events. And he did the same thing to these two dudes. He fought a 0-0 dude, iced him out, fought a Christopher Wingate who competes on like all of these cards just to get got. So just perfect matchmaking there. He's actually doing better than I sort of expected him to do. I'm curious how the UFC views him right now. Are they going to just put him out there to highlight reel lower level guys, which, dude, you can make a damn good living doing that. You're winning bonuses every single time you go out there and fight. That's pretty darn good living. Or are they going to give him the bump? Because if they're going to give him the bump, they got to give it to him now. Like, you can't wait. We throw him in there with Cody Garbrandt next. Like, he would probably destroy Cody Garbrandt.
Dude, it would be so bad for Cody. That would be, you can't, I don't even think you could do that anymore. Like, he needs to fight twice this year. Like, that's just it. Like, he needs 2 more fights this year. He needs to turn around and fight in August or September and just murder somebody. Like, that can just be a legitimate getting you over enhancement kill. And then like straight up, just put him on the Carlos Prates plan. Like, hey, kill 3 dudes in a row. And then we'll give you like a legitimate top 15 guy to see. We will give you Dan Ige and Pedro see Munoz. If can you pass the Dan Ige test or the Pedro Munoz test or whatever, right? Like, that's it. Or not, no, those are featherweights. Who's I got paid? No, not Danny Ige. Danny Ige is a featherweight. Pedro, there's the thing. But like, yeah, that's it. Can you? Well, Pedro is a guy who doesn't die, so you shouldn't give him Pedro, because Pedro is just like a very durable man. And
but
so
wouldn't that help him though if he just wins?
No, but that's if you're testing him. We're not trying to test this dude. We're trying to put him in a position, right? Like that. Pedro is an ideal opponent for a young guy. We're trying to like see if he can develop. This dude's old. We're trying to like give him. Marcus McGee's fighting Petr Yan, so you can't do that. I'm looking at the bantamweights now. Rob Font, because Rob Font will test him, but could also die. So that would be like
Rob doesn't die.
He could die though. Rob has been hurt. Pedro is unkillable. So Rob can die. And that's it. You would put him in against Rob Font in December if he kills the next. I mean, it'd be cruel matchmaking, but if he kills Cody Garbrandt in September, you put him against Rob Font in December.
Would you just throw him to Patchy Mix right now?
That's interesting. And Patchy should theoretically Patchy should take that fight in 2 seconds. There's a lot of upside there. There's one-sided real downside. Like if Patchy loses, it's just like, cool, you're Will Brooks. Let's get rid of you, which is tough. That'd be tough scenes.
Yeah. But then just think of what that does to Malcolm Wellmaker.
I mean, it does make him. It gets him. I want a machine versus machine title fight at bantamweight. I recognize that that's a ridiculous thing to say, but they are both the machines. And I honestly, my greatest tweet of all time was this weekend where I was like, Merab is a machine in the way like a pneumatic press is a machine, where he's just relentless and will slowly break you just by crushing your spirit. And Malcolm Wellmaker's machine, like a T9000, like he'll just fucking kill you. And so that's like the best thing I've ever done, and nobody appreciated it. That's where I need those two title. I need that title fight.
Charles Jourdain is an
Jourdain's great.
Here.
That's a great matchup for him next. Great matchup for him next. But there's no wrong way to do it. Just put him against a guy who can die and watch him kill him, because he will. Like Cody probably is perfect, but the fact, like if Cody had won, Cody would be very perfect. You could still sell it with Cody like losing respectably or whatever, and it would be sad for Cody fans because Cody would die.
I love the Adrian Yanez idea. I'd like to see him get one more win and then fight Adrian at the end of the year. I think that's like a perfect test.
I mean, Adrian would be a banger.
That's such a good fight.
That's fun.
An exceptional matchup. So that'd be real fun, and we just kind of go from there. But yeah, 31. I wish he was like 26. Dude, I really do.
He would have been easily like, if not my top rated, he would have been like number 2 if he was not 31. I was just like, okay, well, I don't think you have a ceiling because it's 31 at bantamweight. If he were 30, if he was a heavyweight, it would be fine, right? Like 31 at heavyweight's fine. At bantamweight, you're over the hill already.
Wellmaker versus Montel Jackson? No, can't do that.
Yeah.
I don't think that fight would go very well for Malcolm. Honestly, no. I don't.
Sure.
And plus, even if he beats Montel, like he'd get a ranking, but I don't think he gains, because not a lot of people know who Montel Jackson is. Like people know how much I love Montel Jackson, and I think this is a dude who could fight for the belts if he actually fought more than once a year. He's got championship level talent. He just doesn't fight. So I don't know what Malcolm gains from beating Montel Jackson. I don't know if the reward is worth the risk in that type of matchup. And plus Montel Jackson deserves a ranked dude as well. Like he's at that point where he should be fighting Rob Font or somebody like that. So yeah.
I mean,
what about Wellmaker versus Raoni Barcelos? What about that?
I mean, that's just quite fun, but I think we've skipped over the obvious answer, Mike, which is we've seen Wellmaker kill Chris Moutinho, and Sean O'Malley couldn't do it. Wellmaker versus O'Malley. Let's book it.
Wow. Okay.
Right to the top. It'd be fun as hell. Who cares? We don't live in a meritocracy anyway.
Shit, man. Look, Sean O'Malley became champion after they booked him against Petr Yan, just like out of nowhere. Like, what? I think Sean owes it to the community to give a young buck an opportunity.
Got to give an opportunity. That'd be that would be absolutely insane to book, and I'd be so here for it.
That would be wild. That would be wild.
It'd be absolutely ludicrous, but kind of fun.
Yes. Trying to see if we have any more questions. I'm not seeing a ton here. There's a lot of like good MMA this weekend. I love this Baku card. I think it's gonna be super fun. It starts early in the day, which is really sick. Love that. Noon Eastern.
A little nooner.
Little nooner, 3 p.m. main card. Main card fights are all good. Got interviews coming up. Talked to Rafael Fiziev yesterday. That's coming this week. Talked to Khalil Rountee today. Talked to Ignacio Baja Mondays today.
This is a really good fight card.
Yeah, it's very, very solid. LFA's got a pretty good one this weekend as well. Pumi and Kuda's fighting on that one. A guy who I spoke to as well. So there's lots happening this week, and we appreciate you joining us as always for the show. We'll be back next Thursday, back to a regularly scheduled program. Ming, ahead of International Fight Week, ahead of UFC 317,
ahead of the Hall of Fame.
The Hall of Fame and UFC BJJ 1 and all sorts of craziness going down in Sin City, Las Vegas, Nevada. But we appreciate you joining us here on the program. For Jed Meshew, I am Mike Cat. Casey back next week. We'll be back next week as well, as we always are. And we hope you will join us as well. Goodbye, everybody.
Luke Thomas, I heard that shit you were talking on MK.
What did he say?
It's okay. I love you. He was making fun of me. Love y'all.